Kitty was just on. What happened to you?
Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I didn't realize Cindy was over here. Okay, so welcome to our meeting, March 26, 2026. We'll go ahead and get started at 1:01. Ms. Borboa, we can do roll call, please.
Katie Arvizu.
Present.
Owen Bro Sanders. Cindy Coleman.
Present.
Lindsay Escalona.
Here.
Luis Gonzalez.
Here.
Red Morrow.
Here.
Peter Nordquist.
Present.
Tiffany Rogers.
Here.
Sophia Blue.
Present.
Erica Miranda Carter.
Present. Thank you. So we'll move on now to agenda adjustments. Does anybody have any requests for agenda adjustments? Nope. So we'll go ahead and move on to call to the audience. I believe we have one call to the audience. Ms. Blue?
I'll go ahead and read the public participation at board meetings. At this time, during the meeting, members of the audience may address the Bond Oversight Committee in regard to items of concern in person or by sending their written comments to be read into the record. During the audience call, the Bond Oversight Committee Chair or Vice Chair will recognize speakers and maintain order by setting appropriate limitations. Any person desiring to speak shall provide their full name and topic on a call to the audience card. That when addressing the Bond Oversight Committee, the speaker should begin by stating their full name and topic. Speakers are encouraged to be brief. The maximum speaking time is 3 minutes. Individuals attending the meeting and or addressing the Bond Oversight Committee should observe rules of propriety and good conduct and refrain from impertinent or slanderous remarks. TUSD serves students of all ages, so speakers should be aware that children may be present. At the end of the audience call, the Bond Oversight Committee Chair will ask if individual Bond Oversight Committee members wish to respond to a speaker's criticism, ask staff to review a matter, or ask that a matter appear on a future agenda. By law, at most, 2 Bond Oversight Committee members can address any single issue raised during the audience call.
Thank you, Thank you, Ms. Blue. Ms. Barbara, we can please read that letter.
Okay. Dear Bond Oversight Committee, I am writing to follow up on my previous correspondence regarding the installation timeline of the turf field at Santa Rita High School. I appreciate the time and attention you have given to this matter thus far. However, I must reiterate and further emphasize the urgency of our concerns related to safety, equity, and the broader impact on our school community. Safety concerns. The current condition of our field continues to deteriorate and present increasing safety risks for our student athletes. Uneven playing surfaces, worn areas, and inconsistent field conditions heighten the likelihood of injury during practices and competitions. As stewards of student well-being, we have an obligation to provide a safe environment, and the current state of our field falls short of that standard. Delaying turf installation until 2028 prolongs exposure to these preventable risks for multiple cohorts of students. Equity across Eastside schools. Following the completion of planned projects this summer, Santa Rita High School will be the only Eastside high school without a turf field. This creates a clear and prolonged inequity in facilities that directly impacts our students. While neighboring schools benefit from modern, safe, and durable playing surfaces, our students will continue to operate at a disadvantage for at least 2 additional years. Equity is not only about access, but about timing, and in this case, the current schedule places Santa Rita significantly behind its peers. Enrollment and program implications. Facility quality plays a meaningful role in a student decision-making, particularly for those interested in athletics and extracurricular programs. This disparity in facilities may influence enrollment patterns, further impacting program sustainability at Santa Rita. As we work to grow and strengthen our school community, it is critical that we are not placed at a competitive disadvantage both in and outside of our district due to delayed infrastructure improvements. Given these concerns, I respectfully urge the committee to reconsider the current project timeline and explore options to accelerate the installation of turf at Santa Rita High School. Aligning our timeline more closely with other Eastside schools would help ensure equitable opportunities, enhance student safety, and support the long-term viability of our programs. Thank you again for your consideration and for your continued commitment to serving all students equitably. I am available to provide additional information, site tours, or to discuss the matter further at your convenience. Thank you, Tama Ray, Principal, Santa Rita High School.
Thank you, Ms. Barboa. Do we have any committee members who would like to comment?
Should we address that so we don't ignore it? I mean, as far as the timeline, just reinforce what the timeline is or why it's like that?
We can, we discuss it now, or we can add it to future
You would
agenda
have
if you'd
to
like.
add it to a future agenda item.
It would have to be a
discuss.
future agenda item if you'd like.
Well, I just think that might be a good idea, just so the communication that we can reinforce that we listened and we address the concern.
Acknowledge.
Do you want to
Okay.
make a motion? Or? Do we need to make a motion to do that?
No, you don't.
Item here,
No.
agenda item, put it
Yeah,
for
okay.
next meeting.
Yeah, we can address that at 7. Good call.
Okay, that was the only call to the audience, right? I forgot to ask you, I apologize. Is there any further comments, suggestions? No? Okay, thank you for that, Ms. Barboa, and thank you to our Santa Rita principal for her advocacy. We'll go ahead and move on now to item 4.01, election of Bond Oversight Committee Chair. Is there any recommendations for a chair?
I would like to nominate Mr. Gonzalez for chair.
I would like to nominate Ms. Erica Miranda Carter for chair. Or do we have to go like motion to motion?
Would we have to do a motion on that, each one?
We have to address like that nomination and then like doing a vote.
You can do either a voice vote, like me roll calling, and each one would say who they're picking. You can do the motion and take a vote for each
Each one.
candidate. It's up to you, however you want to.
Are there any other nominations at this moment? Mr. Gonzalez?
Madam Chair, let me just point out, We have more than one person.
Can you speak
nominated.
into the microphone? You're being recorded, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Since we have more than one person nominated, I think probably the best thing to do is to have a secret ballot and have them vote. And then the person that has the majority of the votes would be elected. Other than taking them one by one, separately like that, I think that'd be a better process.
I'm sorry?
Did you catch that?
I didn't hear all of it.
Sorry, we didn't quite understand or make out what you were saying.
Can you repeat it one more time, a little bit louder? Por favor?
Yeah, I would suggest that since you have more than one person nominated, that you do a secret ballot where people will vote by name, and then staff can count the votes. And then we go from there. Whoever gets the most votes is the chair, and then we go to the next item, which would be the vice chair.
I think the way that well, this one would have to be, that requires a second for the nomination?
Yeah, let's separate it out, sorry. We should do
Yeah.
this nomination like as a motion. I mean, you can do what you need to do, but in my opinion, we should do this nomination as a motion and
And then second?
then vote on that nomination. And then
I
go to
would
the next.
concur on the secret vote. I think that's the best way to do it.
A secret
Moving
voting?
forward and remove any
Yeah.
animosity we might be having.
Does it have to be public, though? I mean, how, we have to. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, we can't do a secret vote because for that reason, it has to be public. That's the way we've done the votes in the past, that's the way we did it the first 2 years, and we just nominated and voted.
Well,
Did you want
the vote itself doesn't have to be public. The vote can be secret ballot, and then the vote counting needs to be made public.
Okay,
You're
can we
not
do a
violating
show
an
of
open
hands, who
meeting.
wants to do a secret ballot and who, can we do that? Show of hands, who wants to do a secret ballot, and the other one who just wants to do vote?
we have to make sure that,
I'm checking with legal.
okay, yeah, we're checking with legal.
Okay, let's pause on there for a second.
Jennifer?
How would Tiffany submit her secret vote?
Yeah, exactly. That's gonna be tracked inside.
Jennifer?
I don't think you can secret ballot. I think it has to be a motion. Or you can, since two people have been nominated, you can go around saying who you would like as chair.
We don't need to take a motion for it then? They just simply state their name? State which?
Right.
Okay,
That's what we did at the governing board meeting when we did our chair.
okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and do that. Ms. Barboa, would you do the roll call, please? We have two nominated. We have Mr. Luis Gonzalez and myself, Erika Miranda Carter.
Catherine Arvizu?
I vote for Erica Miranda Carter.
Cindy Coleman? Lindsay Escalona? Luis Gonzalez?
Pass.
I'm sorry?
Pass.
Did he say pass?
Red Morrow?
Carter?
Peter Norquist?
Luis Gonzalez.
Tiffany Rogers?
Erica Miranda Carter.
Sophia Blue?
Erica Miranda Carter.
And Erica Miranda Carter.
I vote for Erika Miranda Carter. Okay, so we will, that's everyone, right? So I will remain as chair with 7 votes and 1 abstaining and 1 for Mr. Gonzalez. So now we will move on to item 4.02, election of Bond Oversight Committee Vice Chair. Are there any nominations for Vice Chair? and I will nominate Ms. Sophia Blue. Are there any other names or anyone who'd like to throw their name in the ring? Ms. Barbara, we can do another roll call vote, please.
Catherine Arvizu,
Sophia Blue.
Cindy Coleman, Lindsay Escalona, Luis Gonzalez,
Pass.
Red Morrow,
Sophia Blue.
Peter Norquist,
Luis Gonzalez.
Tiffany Rogers,
Luis Gonzalez.
Sophia Blue,
Sophia Blue.
Erica Miranda Carter.
Sophia Blue. Ms. Sophia Blue will remain as Vice Chair, Bond Oversight Committee Vice Chair with 5 votes. Thank you, everybody. We will now move on to item 4.03.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
I just want to make a point. In Robert's Rules of Order, when a person passes, that means you have to come back to get a vote from that individual. That's what the process is. I have not yet voted. However, I will accept, your declaration. But for a future meetings, that's the way Robert Rules of Order works.
Can you please speak into your microphone, Mr. Gonzalez? I caught most of the first part, but I'm having a hard time.
What I said is that when an individual passes, that doesn't mean that the person's not going to vote. You have to go back and still get a vote, whether the person will vote yes, no, or abstain. You didn't do that, so you violated the
Oh,
rule.
That's
what
my
I'm saying.
apologies.
However, I will accept the vote of the committee on the vice chair and the chair.
Okay.
I just want to point that out, so next time you'll understand what the Robert's Rule of Order procedure is.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. So now we will move on to 4.03, bond project updates. Dr. Carter?
Good afternoon.
There we go.
I'm a little bit too loud. All right, I'm so excited to share with you. If we can bring up the presentation, which I know you guys had an opportunity to look at and peruse. Of course, we have our grounding, our project status, our communications, and our key dates. Everybody's very familiar with our grounding, and that the BOC and TUSD are partners and advocates. So I wanted to do a congratulations to everybody, especially this committee and the governing board. We have reached $100 million. I said $100 million total spent in the bond. I think that's very admirable. Yeah, you can give yourself a hand in less than 2 years. So over the 23 months. So, and we have, and this stat for the projects is incorrect now because I have to present this almost 2 weeks ahead of time. And so we have over 350 projects right now. So that is so exciting. And I remember when almost 2 years ago saying, we gotta go slow to go fast. You guys remember that? And so I just appreciate that you trusted the skills and abilities of the operations team and for myself as a leader to follow that. And so now I wouldn't say that we're totally fast. I think we're medium fast. We're gonna go a little bit faster, but it's just a privilege, I feel, to be able to provide all these projects across the district to the students and families of Tucson. So I just commend you on that. All right, let's go through our project highlights. And of course, you guys have the red light, green light report that you have. And again, remember that's going to be like 2 weeks behind because I have to turn it in ahead of time. So what I'm providing for you is hot off the press. All right. As you guys might recall, the domestic water line for Sabino was delayed primarily because we didn't have all the signatures and approval from the fire marshal, the state fire marshal. We anticipated that during spring break that the construction would be coming to a close. They did run into a situation with the water pressure, and then they had to go back and do the testing, so they weren't able to get all of the necessary construction done during spring break. So what we're looking at is possibly doing some more construction during the April 3rd holiday area. I think we're calling it a spring holiday here. And so we still won't have everything completed. We are looking like the final, because we need more days than 3 days to be able to complete everything. So it will be right after school starts that we can to totally be done. And I've been really emphasizing to everybody, it's so important to close out projects because it puts too much workload, because we only have so much capacity. Even though we mean TUSD may not be the ones actually doing the work, we have to oversee the work. So I feel good about it. I feel like this was a really good and somewhat complex project because remember we had to reclaim water with this and we had the fields and all that. So we're coming to a close pretty soon. With the IGAs, you guys remember we have 15 schools that are currently in process of getting full package units that have been assessed by IGA. It's 48% complete. There were several, 3 to 4 that were installed during spring break. I did put some of that on the Facebook for those that follow us there. And there are others coming, but right now, and I think one of the things that we've added as improvements, just so you guys know, because we're also always looking at how we can improve, is that IGA, that, Veritech that's overseeing those projects, they are having the vendors to have badges. So therefore, because I had gotten a little bit of some complaints that, sometimes the principal may not know all the various subcontractors when they come. And so from now on, I went back to IGA and expressed the concern, and so now they will have Veritech badges so they can easily be identified as people that should be on their campus, and I think that's super important. On the security gates and fencing, as you guys remember, we had the first 32. We only have 4 more left, and so the POs are in process for those 4, and then we'll talk about later the second phase of that. I do want to mention that we had a big push with the projects and operations team. We did start the Gale parking lot over spring break. So that's happening as we speak. Also, that is a dual funded project. So as you guys might remember that we always are trying to find ways to stretch the bond dollars. So that had about $46,000 with adjacent ways, and then the bond paid for the other portion of that. Security window film phase 1 has been completed. Phase 2 is going to begin next week. So we're in the process of phase 2. You guys approved that. It's very much a different scope. There's no window replacement that's involved. It's far less windows, but this project we feel we can get done in 2 weeks or so. So more to come on phase 2. The E-rate cybersecurity, we are still waiting for what they call USAC, the Universal Service Administration, I think it's company, for them to get the quotes. I've heard there's been some movement on that, but we still haven't got the quotes. So those monies that we've already set aside, we're just waiting for those quotes to come in. I did want to report out on the Chromebooks. You guys approved 2,592 Chromebooks to be purchased. They have already arrived and been dispersed. So that's super good news. We try to rush that through because we wanted to make sure we had things in place for testing. So they have already been distributed to the various schools. As you know, we have 3 building improvements / portable to permanent structures that were approved. Tucson High, the Vogue building, the construction is 40% done. So that one's moving much faster because, as you know, that was an existing building, and so they are making the construction changes that we wanted for that. On the Rincon and Davis, the Rincon, we have started doing the meetings with the designers, architects, as well as with some of the staff, which was a request also by, I think also Erica and also by Dr. Ashcraft to get more of the staff involved, which was always part of the plan. We just had to get to a certain point. So that's in process, and I think we're still in process of getting the requisition to actually a PO. So now we're starting the other phases of the project. And with Davis, the same thing. They haven't started their combined meetings yet with more staff and then with the engineers and architects, but that's going to be in process. We're trying to get that quote through. So as soon as we get the quote and the monies, then they can start the meetings. EV pilot, I hope you guys have been seeing. Let me tell you, if you see the buses with the blue on the bumper, those are the EV buses. They are on the streets. So the pilot has officially begun. As you know, getting the buses and getting the infrastructure, that's just the first part. That's just the initiation of being able to have the equipment. So the transportation department, they are starting the pilot, and they already have added them to the routes. And answered your question, I think it was you, Erica. I think it was you, but somebody had asked what the communications plan was, and I shared that with you, that they had communication go out to any of the students that would be on those routes to the parents. So I'm looking forward to what outcome is gonna be and how that impacts the district. That particular project, I would say, is about 98% complete. There's a few final documents. We got most of the documentation from Snyder and the various companies, but there's not everything totally done. Oh, I do have something really, really exciting. We got our rebate check already from the EV. You guys remember we had a number of rebates, and we already got a direct deposit, like right after this happened, 1.1 million. So this is super exciting, being able to get some of that money back. And then the tax credit, the investment tax credit, ITC, Snyder is working on our behalf, and that's $70,000. So just wanted to give you an update on that. The marquees, you guys know we have struggled a little bit with that at the last part because the vendor that we had, I don't want to say went out of business, but they're not servicing and providing the same services they had before. So we've ended up using another vendor, but the Hudlow and Myers-Ganong are in process. So that would be the last two that we were waiting to start. So the marquees, at least that the bond was going to do initially, which will allow us to have everybody to have something. They don't all have the fancy, but something. We're 77% complete. All right. Our newsletter is still happening. We're gonna do, we haven't done the March yet, but it's gonna be out, I promise, before March 31st. It helps having people now to assist, but we're continuing that monthly, and we are sending that out to all the families, to the staff, And I think I have one person externally that requested to get the newsletter. So we are providing that for them. I think that number's incorrect on the bond Facebook page. It's now 240. So we have moved up. So Marianne. So she said she could get us there, and we definitely, when she said that, we're at 196. So we definitely have increased our following. And then on the Instagram, I think we're at 44 followers, but something like that. I'm still learning. We're still learning how to do that, but I feel like, and we are still doing the banners. We just put in a request for 25 more banners, because it's interesting with the banners, the ones that we put out, like Sabino from last year, so faded. And kind of showing cracks. And so I think that's the Arizona heat, maybe. So I don't think they're going to last forever, Ricky. You know, they're not lasting forever. So, okay. You guys heard that from Ricky. But I think it's been a great campaign, and we're going to continue it. And those are not paid by bond dollars. That's by the bond department. Our key dates, of course, we're here today. The governing board, I'll be there. We're going to do the 1B version of the IGA. And what that means is it's the actual construction. So the way it works, they do an assessment of what needs to be done. They come back, give us the quotes, and then we go back and then take a look at it, review them, and then we do the construction. So the 1B will be the items that are packaged together. So it's irrigation, it's domestic water, it's what else? Sewer. I mean, it's multiple things. So that's what I'm going to go to the governing board for. You guys have already approved it. So that's about 39 million for that. And then quarter 4 begins. Is that this week or next week? Next week. Just exciting. I will say that you guys know that we have 6 schools that we're temporarily shutting down for the domestic water and various improvements. We've had hundreds, literally, of meetings with the principals and their staff, planning that this is a little bit aggressive, but we're going to have to be to get at least a little bit less than half done. So that's in process, and I'm happier where we are right now. So I do want to mention in my update, Gavin, will you stand up? This is the new bond program project manager. So, and you guys have already met Mary Ann. She's the project technical specialist. So this has been such a blessing for me to be able to have help. I didn't think I was going to make it. So I really didn't, trust me, and I made that known. But just having the staff has helped me so much. And the last thing I'll mention is that we need to think about, as a group, we don't have to make a decision right now. Do we want to do another virtual town hall? Remember, you usually do that twice a year, once in April, one in the fall. But I'm curious. I feel like I would love to be part of an event that's already happening and then come. We have not been getting a great response with the virtual. It does give an option for everybody, but I want to be as impactful as possible. So if you have an event, or if you're, one of the schools has an event and then we want to give an update, that may be an option. But that's all I have for my key updates.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Carter? No. All righty then. So then I motion to approve bond project updates as presented by Dr. Carter.
I'll second.
I don't think we need roll call, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on now, item 4.04, approval of Bond Oversight Committee meeting minutes for February 19th, 2026. Does anyone need any time to review those minutes? If not, I motion to approve those minutes. Motion by myself, second by Ms. Blue. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, then moving on to 5.01, review of quarter 3 through quarter 4 fiscal year 2025-26 bond project updates and priorities. Dr. Carter.
Testing. All right. If we can bring up the proposed project list for quarter 3 and 4, and it's kind of hard to believe that pretty soon we're going to be starting a new fiscal year. And so it's just going by so fast. So, and my strategy has kind of changed, not intentionally. I was thinking that, you know, I would just come once a semester and present all the projects. That just hasn't happened. But as what we're doing is really working with the principals to find out what's most important to them and what they feel like they want to do for renovation. So each of the 6 domestic water line sites, we're working with the principal, looking at the bond book and asking them, what's most impactful for you right now? And this is the results. For Stafford, they want the sunshade for the playground. In the area where the sunshade is, there's one that's exactly like it. In the close area, they want another one pretty much exactly like that. I gave you the dimensions there. It includes the installation and mobilization. It's $33,000. And just keep in mind, we're doing this while, as soon as we can, if it doesn't impact anything else. Otherwise, we're doing it during the summer. And the playground, we could do sooner than later, if approved. The Santa Rita High School, they would love to have campus weatherization. So we worked with Ms. Ray and the contractor and looked at the areas of the school, and so it lists here what it includes: painting and improvements to the exterior of the administration building, the auditorium building, and the west elevation. It also includes decomposed granite in the parking lot. So when they looked at the improvements and the options that they wanted, it was over what's designated in the bond book. So I gave them a choice: either we're going to have to reduce scope or you're going to have to pitch in. So this is what we talked. I think it was you, Red, that, you know, if things are going over, then the school needs to have a little bit of skin in the game, which probably is not the technical thing I should be saying, but that's what it is. And so we would use $92,638 from their flooring. And so we did assess their flooring as well. Their flooring is not that bad. So typically all the schools get $387,000 for flooring. So $92,000 and change would be used of that money. So they still have money for flooring, but not as much. But that, to them, is a higher priority to get the campus weatherization. All right. As you guys know, we have 3 main priorities that we've been using to prioritize the bond for over a year now. What is that? Peter, what is that? Priority? You know. Who knows the priority? There's my A student. There she is. What is it, Kat? Yes. Yes. HVAC. Those are the 3 things. And so we're almost complete with the first 32 fencing and gates. And actually I have Sam Martin with safety here. He is the lead along with a projects assigned person on security gates and fencing. We've almost completed the first 32, so we want to now present the next 21. And then that way we can try to get this done faster. We know the priorities and we just move forward. And because it's so important to have a safe and secure schools, we're ready to start on the next set of gates and fencing. And then lastly, we have access to updated educational technology. We have been asked to, and then they're wanting to have a board in each classroom to do the next 62, which is 217,000. And then we also are in need of staff devices. I was told right now we don't have any spares, so we do want to have spares. So the way we're dividing that up is to have 40 for teachers and 10 for other support staff and district staff. I'm gonna make sure I didn't miss anything. So, and if we can go to the detail of this, you can see the breakdown by the next, and it shows you the schools that we have and the amounts. So if you want to know where the 21 and the gates and fencing, so we have Blenman, Carrillo, Choya, Cragen, Davis. You see how good I'm just reading the words? I couldn't do that at all. Now I'm gonna mess it up. Okay. Anyway, Drackman, Howell, Marshall, McCorkle, Mission View. Oh, there it is, and just a little bit bigger, maybe. I can't read it. All right. So here it has the list of Choya, et cetera, and so on. And then it also lists where the technology would go initially. I did want to make mention that for the technology, that it starts at that school, but then they have a whole process that they distribute after the new school year to wherever it's needed. But I wanted to make sure that we have record. So if you go look at the bond dashboard, it will show by school what the school is getting, at least initially. And lastly, we have the active boards and the devices for the staff. So we are asking for, with the 20% contingency, $5,460,552 to add to our $100 million for quarter 3 and 4. And that's all I have.
Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Carter? Mr. Norquist?
One of the first schools that we visited, maybe the first school that we visited last year, we spoke to the principal about a few things, and one of them was active boards. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you remember the conversation, but what he described to us was that they had been actually given active boards to use, and they had not worked out very well, to the extent that they had actually shelved them, bought monitors at their own expense, if I remember correctly, so that they could use the monitors instead. And I remember we had a discussion in the hall about this as we were walking.
Do you remember hall discussions? Okay.
As many as I can. I can't remember those 3 points you asked earlier, though, so not perfect. But has there been any discussion or follow-up behind the scenes about the problem with the active boards before moving on to purchasing this?
So I don't remember the exact conversation, but one of the things I do, and probably they don't like it as much, is I do challenge the directors about purchases and the why, and, you know, do we need a different strategy? Mm-hmm. So one thing I can mention, and then I don't know if Robbie wants to talk any more about it, but one of my questions was, and it wasn't necessarily that particular thing about the boards, but when we went to go visit 2 of the schools in Phoenix, as we were looking, well, you were there, Red was there. When we visited, they had moved from going from doing the displays. They were going back to projectors, if I recall correctly. And so I did ask for a member of the technology team to find out, is it still effective and cost effective as well to still be doing boards, like touch boards versus non-touch, and, you know, like, oh, do we need to change strategy? Because they did. So they did a survey and did query the schools. And so it came back that as far as TUSD, the panels that we're buying with the touch or non-touch, the scenarios that we're using is what they prefer, and what they, by data, is what they, I guess, confirm what we were doing. So I did go back and check on that. Now, not specifically about, I don't remember what school, but I do know in general, they still prefer buying the technology and active panels that we have now.
Right, okay. Yeah, I wish I could remember. I think it was the first one, male principal. I believe Ms.
I've
Coleman
gone
might
to
have been
so
there.
many schools.
Palo Verde, okay, thank you.
And you showed us how he had outfitted the basement room, I believe it was, with flat screen TVs, and how the teachers preferred that because they could work them off of their
Oh, okay.
laptops. And the concern is now, I guess, that the
You're speaking
projectors
in the mic.
the projectors are not as available.
Mm-hmm. Probably the bulbs.
So I don't know if that makes a difference too with the touch screens that you're
Well,
talking about.
well, that was the question I had, because it's so expensive, the touch versus the non-touch. So that was the question I was having them to query. And based off of the data, it came back that they are using, at least most schools, maybe not that school, but most schools are using it in the manner in which that we're delivering it.
Two follow-up questions then. Do you happen to know what the price difference is between touch-sensitive boards and non-touch sensitive?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but we should have, well, it does list the touch on here, but maybe, Robbie, if you could get that or find out if you don't know.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
That's why I asked the question.
Hi, thank you, board members. The cost of the board can go anywhere between, I'm Rabi Hamari, the Chief Technology Officer. The cost of the board can go anywhere between $2,000 to $12,000, depending on the model, a touch, how big it is. Most of them, they don't need projectors anymore, so Dr. Carter is correct. That's like old technology. And so it depends what we're looking for. Of course, we'd like to have touch boards because these are the new, but that could be a difference between $2,000 to $3,000. Some of the boards that you may be talking about, Palo Verde or other places, just to give you a very quick summary, a lot of the boards are like about 10 to 15 years old. During COVID, we got a lot of boards using ESSER funds to maybe 80% of all the classrooms in the schools, but we still have about 20%, and that's what we need the bond funding for. So most of the boards should be touch, but then you'll have to pay a little bit extra money. And if we have the funds, I would recommend the touch boards, but when you don't have all the funds, you have to try to prioritize.
Do we have all the funds?
What do you think?
Well, I mean, in the way that you phrased it, I'm not sure what you meant by that, so.
Well, let me take that. Thanks, Robbie.
Yeah, thank you.
So we discussed that a couple of sessions. You guys know that everything is much, much higher. Inflation, some of our estimates were low, and on and on. So every dollar counts right now. And what we're trying to do based off those three priorities is fulfill as much of the bond as we can. And so, yeah, it does matter. So that's why I had them fill out the survey to make sure that the purchasing that we're doing is meeting the needs that we currently have. in this current environment, and it did confirm it. Otherwise, I would have said, no, let's just get one type or the other. And we have a mixed environment, just like Palo Verde. Some things work at a high school that are not going to work in, elementary, and so on and so forth. So I'm confident that based on data, which is what I told you we would go by, and this was recent, this was done before I had done this estimate, I wanted them to go back and follow it up.
Okay. And Dr. Carter, what was the response percentage to the survey for this question that you sent out? Like, how
I'll
many
have
people-
to find out on that. I mean, I think I actually have it,
impressionistically.
but it was enough to satisfy my feelings that we're doing the right thing. I don't remember if it was 85 or 75%, but it was a good sample.
Right, right. Okay, okay. All right, well, I appreciate it. So I just want to make a final statement, following up on what you and Ravi said. Things are in a large degree of flux right now because we've been experiencing multiple financial shocks, starting with COVID, tariffs, and now with everything going on with the Iran invasion. That's a supply chain issue, clearly, because the knock-on effect of that is going to be affecting all sorts of things. People are already starting to talk about lockdowns again. So the only thing that I am a little bit concerned about with this is the actual necessity to invest a larger amount of money in something that might be nice but not necessary. So I just want to say I will probably abstain on this item only because of this. Everything else looks great to me. I just want to put that on the record.
Ms. Oversight?
I have a question
Sure.
about fencing. Your estimates here for fencing have all of the schools at the same amount except for one for 207 versus 185,000 for all of them. And I know it's an estimate across the board for all of them, but do you feel like the averages between all of those sites, that is sufficient funding to complete all of those projects?
Actually, from the data that we have, that we're trending a lot lower than 185.
Lovely.
Overall, I think the total amount was I have the actual amount we spent, but it's far less than what the original amount, and that's due to actually our team doing a great job with doing the project management for it. And so the way it works, as you guys know, we got a pool of money, right? And so I remember some schools say like Project Moore is 15,000. They had allocated 185. I have to keep the money in the pot because some people are going to be a lot more than what that could be.
Okay.
But the trend that we have right now is the fencing is a lot lower than 185. So right now, actually, this is one of the projects that is have overruns. I haven't been able to say that since I've been here, overruns. But this is one of the projects that does.
We can get all the active boards then to make it equenting learning in classroom environments across the
Well,
district.
they don't work that way. You go by categories, but this is one of the fencing is trending on the positive.
Yeah, because I'm just looking at like, Choya versus Ochoa. And, yeah.
And then you're going to have, like you said, Choya, that's going to be a lot more.
Right,
I mean,
right.
and then some schools have more wrought iron. I mean, it's all those combinations,
Okay.
but when we do estimates, we're just doing them
That's fine. I
across
just
the
wanted,
board.
I just wanted to make sure that the estimation was at least enough, like, and have an overage. Okay.
We're
That's
trending
it.
very well.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Carter?
I'm
Ms.
gonna
Coleman?
Try this again. When I was working with PE across the district, I had been out of the school and there were solar panels up, and they lost part of their field because of those solar panels. Is there any thought, or is it a safety issue, if we put a slab of cement under those panels and use them as playground shade? Because that was a middle school where they don't have indoor facilities for PE, and they lost part of their facility. This was at Seacrest Middle School. Because under the solar panels, it's all mushy, marshy, and, I just don't know the safety issue to have.
Yeah,
kids under.
that's a great question. As part of the agreement with the solar panels, because of the special nature our agreement does not allow us to have any like playgrounds or anything near it. And actually, even when we're doing fencing, we have to have a certain distance. Right now, it's 10 feet from the edge of the solar panels because they don't want people crawling up the fence and getting on panels. And our agreement basically does not allow us to use it as a playground area.
That lets me answer that.
And just to piggyback off of just, because you probably was looking at the request for the solar, not solar, because I'm not doing solar, but the request with this shade. Yeah, so the sunshades, when we actually did the quote, was 33,000. But if you look in the bond book, for Safford, the shades were far, far higher, the estimate. So now it does say 2 sunshades, but it was 200,000. So even if we got 2, and they don't need 2, this is a really large one, it's only 33,000. Okay, so yay, that's something I haven't been able to say yet either. So that's one other thing. And then going back to your question, Katie, for fencing in the budget in the bond book, we have $15,907,200. Right now, we've done, like I said, we got like 4 left to do. We're about 3.6 million of that amount. So we're doing well.
Any other questions for Dr. Carter? Thank you, Dr. Carter. So I will move now to, where am I at?
Wait. I'm going to put forward a motion that we separate these 3 items into 3 separate votes.
Okay. I second. Motion by Ms. Arvizu, seconded by Ms. Coleman. Do we need to take a vote? We don't, right? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we'll go ahead and separate each one of those. So the first one is going to be,
I put forward a motion to approve 5.1, Item 1, proposed project list for Quarter 3, Quarter 4 to upgrades to existing facilities for Safford and Santa Rita.
Second.
motion by Ms. Arvizu, second by Ms. Blue. Ms. Barbara, can we do a roll call vote on that, please?
Catherine Arvizu,
Yes.
Cindy Coleman,
Yes.
Lindsay Escalona,
Yes.
Luis Gonzalez,
Aye.
Red Moro,
Yes.
Peter Nordquist,
Yes.
Tiffany Rogers,
Yes.
Sophia Blue,
Yes.
Erica Miranda Carter.
Yes. Motion passes. I don't have those.
Motion to approve item number 2 on 5.01, health, security, and safety for security gates and fencing.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Arvizu, seconded by Ms. Blue. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Did we take Tiffany's vote? I didn't do her on this. She didn't. Okay, Ms. Barbara, can we do a roll call vote on that, please?
Catherine Arvizu,
Yes.
Cindy Coleman,
Yes.
Lindsay Escalona,
Yes.
Luis Gonzalez,
Aye.
Red Moro,
Yes.
Peter Nordquist,
Yes.
Tiffany Rogers,
Yes.
Sophia Blue,
Yes.
Erica Miranda Carter.
Yes, motion passes.
Forward motion for 5.1, item number 3, access to updated educational technology, active board panels, and staff devices.
Second.
Second.
Sorry.
Motion by Ms. Arvizu, second by myself. Can we do a roll call vote? Oh, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then if we can do a roll call vote, Ms. Barbara?
Catherine Arvizu,
Abstain.
I'm sorry, Cindy Coleman,
Yes.
Lindsay Escalona,
Yes.
Luis Gonzalez,
Aye.
Red Moro,
Yes.
Peter Nordquist,
Abstain.
Tiffany Rogers,
Yes.
Sophia Blue,
Yes.
Erica Miranda Carter.
Yes. Motion passes with 2 abstain, and that's for 5.01, item 3, correct?
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Carter. So we will move on now to future meeting dates and agenda items. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 16th. And as of now, we've agreed to add the Santa Rita turf onto the agenda. Is there any other items anyone wants to add on there?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to add to clarify and update the progress of the athletic fields based on the call to the audience concern.
Okay, we don't need to vote on that, do we? No.
Santa Rita, yes.
Yes, Santa
But
Rita.
But I'd like to expand that across the board in the district so we can kind of be proactive in everybody's future questions.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else, anyone? Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to add on a future agenda item, I don't know if it's a following one or one after that, is a somewhat of a refresher request to do some basic training on Robert's Rules of Order.
Okay.
I think in the last couple of years we've been here, we haven't had any training at all on that. I think it'd be a good idea to do that. And I think we're getting some new members also. Might be a good idea to do that.
Ms.
Yeah.
Arvizu?
I was just going to add if we have any new applications for members, if we can add that to the agenda as well.
Okay, as of right now, I believe we have one. So we do receive any more from now till then.
Okay. And I think we have to do that in executive session, yeah?
If we have enough, yes.
Okay. Okay.
Anything else, anyone? No? Okay, so I'd also like to remind you all, April 18th is the Camp Cooper celebration from 4 to 7. That is going to be pretty fun, pretty exciting if you all want to, can make it out there. I saw some of you at the EV bus celebration. That was pretty super fun and exciting. But so thank you again, everybody. Our next meeting is going to be scheduled for, like I said, April 16th. Camp Cooper celebration is April 18th. And as Dr. Carter requested, if you know of any big events happening throughout the district that we could maybe merge our town hall with them, please let her know. Let myself, Ms. Barbara, any one of us, or preferably Dr. Carter, let her know so that she can coordinate that. So it is, there's no clock. I'm not sure what, it's 2 o'clock. So we will adjourn at 2 o'clock. Thank you, everyone. We've had some really early endings lately.